Hi, welcome to week one of Nonprofit 302, Nonprofit Leadership Fall Semester 2018. I'm Dr. Harrington. Students, including you, if you like, can call me Dr. H. What my intent is with these weekly videos is to give you a brief overview of the reading or things that are going to be going on for the week that you'll need to know about in order to increase the likelihood of your success in the course. And what I'm going to be doing briefly today is to talk really about the first three chapters of the book. Hopefully by now you've purchased a copy of the textbook, Improving Leadership in Nonprofit Organizations. It's edited by Riggio and Orr. This is a really good textbook. In fact, what it is, a little bit different than maybe some of the texts you have already. It is a collection of essays by individuals recognized as experts in leadership in the nonprofit sector. And these sectors span healthcare, education, the arts, advocacy, social services, so there's a wide gamut of specialization and leadership focus and context, a number of different leadership styles, and we're going to be covering a bunch of that this semester. The textbook is broken into 5 distinct sections, and the first section that we're going to be dealing with is challenges for nonprofit organizations. Because you have an interest in leadership and in nonprofit, you have probably noticed that there's a leadership void right now and anticipated into the future, and that is the nonprofit sector in the United States is going to be desperate for leaders in the future. So it's imperative that we do our part. Faculty help students learn more about leadership, you develop leadership skills, and then you get an opportunity to exercise those leadership skills in an employment situation if you work in a nonprofit sector, or even if you work in a for-profit sector. Well, let's get started. This week you're going to cover 3 chapters. The future challenges for nonprofit organizations, some thinking about nonprofit leadership. It's really a philosophical essay. And then the last chapter, chapter 3, is 10 things that nonprofit organizations and nonprofit leaders need to do moving through the 21st century. So let's deal with chapter 1 first, the challenges that nonprofit organizations face. There's an enormous turnover taking place right now in nonprofit leadership. Many of those individuals that have been leading nonprofit organizations for a long time are retiring or will be retiring in the next few years, and it's necessary that we have people to replace them. So among the things that the nonprofit sector in general needs to do, one is to develop leaders of change. We live in some changing times. There are political and social and economic and environmental considerations and constraints that are impacting leadership. And emerging leaders need to know about these things. So, and I mentioned to you already about this leadership void. The second challenge, and I would say opportunity, facing nonprofit organizations is the need to engage, reflect, and embrace diversity. And when I say diversity, I'm talking about ethnic diversity, I'm talking about racial diversity, I'm talking about gender diversity. Diverse perspectives are absolutely vital to the health, welfare, effectiveness, and efficiency of nonprofit organizations. And we'll see in fairly great detail some arguments put together that will support that assertion that diversity and engaging diversity and reflecting diversity in the composition of our organizations, whether it's in the folks that are volunteering for us or our staff or leadership or even our board of directors or trustees, what have you. The third challenge facing nonprofit organizations in the future is the need for increased collaboration, partnerships, and alliances. It should come to you as no surprise that support to engage nonprofit work, that is financial support, giving, donations, philanthropy, dollars are coming harder and harder to come by. And there are more and more organizations, nonprofits, entering the nonprofit world seemingly every single day. So competition for staff, competition for volunteers, competition for leaders, competition for money, becoming more and more challenging. But those challenges also create an opportunity, and the opportunity is to create alliances and partnerships and strategic collaboration. I'll give you a case in point. We're in Spartanburg, South Carolina. In Spartanburg County, there are 8 nonprofit organizations that have as their primary mission feeding the hungry. Now, while each of these nonprofit organizations is noble, they have a noble cause, they have a great mission, they have great vision, and there's definitely a need. Do we need 8 different organizations? Do we need 8 directors? Do we need, let's assume that every nonprofit has 10 people on their boards of directors. Do we need 80 board members to oversee these 8 organizations, or are there opportunities for collaboration and alliances and strategic unions? I argue that there probably is. But this case about the feeding the hungry in Spartanburg is not germane just to Spartanburg. We see this, I call it a duplication of services and efforts everywhere. We need to think smarter, not necessarily work harder. That's Chapter 1. Chapter 2, shifting gears, is some thoughts about nonprofit leadership. It's really a philosophical essay by a guy named Stephen Dobbs, who's well respected in nonprofit philanthropy. He has run a number of foundations. He basically raises money to give money away to nonprofits. And he spends some time talking about the characteristics of good leaders and why those characteristics are very important to help us meet the challenges that nonprofit organizations are going to face, the ones that you've just read about in Chapter 1. And then in Chapter 3, Florence Green, another well-known and well-respected leader in the nonprofit circles, talks about 10 things that nonprofit organizations are going to need to do in the 21st century in order to survive, and I'll give you some examples. One is to become a great learning organization. Organizations need to know a lot more about themselves. What do they do that's really good? What are things that they do that simply aren't very effective or very efficient? Are they developing and forming strategic alliances? Again, connected to Chapter 1. Do they have measures of effectiveness? How do they know that they're doing the job that they say? How do they know that they're fulfilling the mission and vision of the organization? So do they have metrics? Do they have measurements by which they can tell whether or not they're making an impact on their communities? And then tying their budget to those indicators. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to spend money to do things that you don't know whether they're doing the right thing or not, or having an impact on the community. And adopting a vision and a mission that incorporates diversity. Again, going back to challenges that nonprofit organizations are facing. This issue of diversity is certainly a challenge and an opportunity. That's something that nonprofits are going to have to do moving forward. And of course there are a number of others. And as you read through these materials, I want you to kind of take a mental note of where do you think your skills and abilities are? What do you think your strengths are? And how might you be able to match the needs that we know that are out there now and that are going to be out there and your strengths? And I think hopefully you'll be encouraged and surprised when you find out that many of the skills and attributes and strengths that you have right now and the ones that you're developing are going to fit very nicely and in concert with the needs that we know already that are going to be necessary for nonprofit leadership moving forward. Pardon me. Also in week 1, I want you to see a video that I've posted. It's called The Future of Nonprofit Organizations. It came off YouTube, relatively short, I think it's like 2 minutes. But it's really good. And I also want to let you know that at any time you have questions, you can call me, you can email me, you can text me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on Twitter very much, but I have one job. My job is to help you. And I have office hours, and even though this class is online, hey, I'm here for you. So whatever you need, reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Be a great idea if you read through the syllabus. I know, yeah, we've all been there. The syllabus, it's dry, it's terrible. So read through the syllabus, and then make some mental notes about when things are due, because we've got some deliverables in the course. You've got some activities and a paper and some other types of things, and then work every single week. Again, I'm really excited about having you in the class. I hope you learn a lot. I think we've got some really interesting stuff to look at, and my hope is as we go through the semester, there will be a number of things occurring, current events in the nonprofit world that'll tie in very nicely to the content that we're reading in the books. So I don't want to wish you luck. I don't think you need luck. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get a lot out of it, and I look forward to working with you throughout the semester.